As host of this year's North American Leaders Summit, it's my responsibility and pleasure to report that the discussions between Presidents Bush and Calderon and myself were as cordial as they were constructive. Our three countries share peaceful and productive relations that are of considerable benefit to the people of our respective nations. These relations are rooted in our common commitment to democracy, free and open markets through NAFTA, and equal opportunity for all of our citizens. This week's summit has provided an opportunity to share individual perspectives and to take stock of the challenges that we face together. We agreed to work together on consumer protection. We have to identify and stop unsafe goods from entering our country, especially those designed for our children. We also agreed on the need for practical solutions to our mutual environmental challenges. Our countries are already working together to develop clean and sustainable energy, and we're cooperating on national fuel efficiency standards. Finally, and this is especially important for Canada, we agreed that border security measures, critical as they are, cannot threaten the bonds of friendship or commerce between us. But our discussions were not focused exclusively on North America. We also discussed a range of international and hemispheric issues, from climate change to the upcoming APEC meetings, from the Middle East to Haiti, where all three of our countries are working to advance freedom, democracy, and development for the most impoverished people.
I'm not going to try to reiterate what Stephen said. He went through the list of the meetings, and he's right. That we talked about a lot of issues. I just want to give you the spirit of the discussions and why I think they're important. It's in our people's interest that Canada and Mexico work closely together. It's in our interests that the Canadian lifestyle be as strong as it is. And it's in our interest that prosperity spread to Mexico. If you're a U.S. citizen, you want people that live close to you to be prosperous.
Each country, each government is facing within their own public opinion, now particularly in Mexico, maybe in the US, they're encountering resistance in relation to one or another aspect. Investments, immigration, border crossings, and regulatory aspects. They've come to a standstill, and this is a result of the concerns in each country, obstacles that to the economic integration of our region. I believe that we should reassess, or we should have our people reassess, what all this means to the common citizen.
Canada, as you know, is fully committed to strengthening its Arctic sovereignty on every level, not just military, but economic, social, environmental, any other method, any other means. Canada and the U.S. do have differences on certain aspects of the Northwest Passage. At the same time, since the agreements of Prime Minister Mulroney and former President Reagan in the late 1980s, Canada and the United States have been able to manage these differences, and we think we'll be able to continue to do that.
Yeah, we'll manage the differences because there are differences on the Northwest Passage. We believe it's an international passageway. Having said that, the United States does not question Canadian sovereignty over its Arctic islands, and the United States supports Canadian investments that have been made to exercise its sovereignty.
As you three leaders meet here, there are a growing number of people in each of your countries who have expressed concern about the Security and Prosperity Partnership. This is addressed to all three of you. Can you say today that this is not a prelude to a North American Union, similar to a European Union? Are there plans to build some kind of superhighway connecting all three countries? And do you believe all of these theories about a possible erosion of national identity stem from a lack of transparency from this partnership?
Well, let me begin. And I guess I've read some things from my opposition in Canada. I'm not sure these are generally expressed concerns, but a couple of my opposition leaders have speculated on massive water diversions and superhighways to the continent, maybe interplanetary, I'm not sure as well. I even heard reports of a former prime minister lurking in the hallways. I have yet to see him. Look, we have an enormous trading commercial relationship. It's important that the leaders of that trading relationship get together, periodically have discussions, just as it's important at every level, ministerial level, official level, that they're getting together and talking and making sure they're working out problems. You know, we had some business leaders in front of us today. One in particular said, you know, the rules for jelly beans. He manufactures jelly beans. The rules for jelly bean contents are different in Canada and the United States. They have to maintain two separate inventories. Is the sovereignty of Canada going to fall apart if we standardize the jelly bean? You know, I don't think so. Maybe Mr. Dion thinks so, but I don't think so. So, you know, these are pragmatic, practical discussions. In fact, it was my predecessor in the Liberal Party who initiated them. And ultimately, of course, for the decisions, we're responsible to our respective populations through our democratic system. And as President Calderon mentioned, I have to listen to that practical input every single day in Parliament.
What we try to do is simply to meet, talk about our common problems and see what we can do in practical terms in order to improve the lives of our people. Whether it's to standardize the parameters for chocolates or medicines. I think these are common sense things.
We each respect each other's sovereignty. You know, there are some who would like to frighten our fellow citizens into believing that relations between us are harmful for our respective peoples. I just believe they're wrong. I believe it's in our interest to trade. I believe it's in our interest to dialogue. I believe it's in our interest to work out common problems for the good of our people. And I'm amused by some of the speculation, some of the old, you call them political scare tactics. If you've been in politics as long as I have, you get used to that kind of technique, where you lay out a conspiracy and then force people to try to prove it doesn't exist. That's just the way some people operate.
Mr. President, it's become increasingly likely that Canada will withdraw from its current combat role in southern Afghanistan in February 2009. Many Canadians, including politicians of different political stripes, have suggested that Canada's military has done its job in the country, that it's played its part, and it would be time to go home then. I'd like to ask you if you believe that Canada has done its job and it's fulfilled its duties.
I believe Canada has done a fabulous job in Afghanistan, and I thank the people of Canada, but more importantly, the people of Afghanistan thank the people of Canada. See, we're in an ideological struggle against people who use murder and death to achieve political objectives, and the fundamental question is, will free nations help young democracies survive in the face of this threat? And Canada has performed brilliantly. The Canadian contribution is more than just combat. The Canadian contribution is to help build institutions for a democracy to survive. So the contribution has been vast and it's been robust. And this government, along with this Parliament, will make decisions what's best for the Canadian people and the people of Afghanistan. The United States is firmly committed to Afghanistan. We view this as a part of the war against the extremists and radicals. We view this as a significant portion of the ideological struggle, and we believe that when democracy prevails in Afghanistan, it'll be a major blow toward those who want to impose a totalitarian view on others. We believe peace is achieved when forms of government give people an opportunity to express themselves in a peaceful way in society. That's what we believe. And one reason we have that strong belief is we believe in the universality of liberty. We don't believe freedom is just confined to our neighborhood. We believe freedom is universal in its application. That's what we believe. We believe people want to be free, and if given a chance, they will exercise what is necessary to be free, and that freedom yields peace. And the question we're all confronted with, who live in comfortable societies, is it worth it for our own security to help others realize the blessings of freedom? And my decision is absolutely it is. I think it's the calling of the 21st century. I think it's the calling of history. And I appreciate the strong commitment that this government and the Canadian people have made toward writing the first chapter of what will be laying the foundation of peace throughout the 21st century.
You know, I think we can all be very proud of the work that Canadian troops are doing in Afghanistan. Parliament will make its decision in due course, whether it wants to prolong the mission. But I think our difference there, our position there, our presence there has made a real difference in giving just a tiny bit of the freedom, the opportunity, and the security that we have as Canadians, that we take for granted as Canadians.